A devil rises up. 7 tons of fury. And mountain mayhem. But what happened next? The world's most amazing video clips and the incredible science behind them. We've unearthed the scariest, most unbelievable, and the funniest moments. Watch the drama unfold as we freeze the action. See if you can decide what happened next. In the world of paragliding, a successful takeoff requires high ground, a run and a jump. And to gain height, you need thermals, rising warm air that gently lifts you up like a bird. But on this mountain in Poland, these 2 pilots are in for a surprise. So what happens next? The pilots are swept up and hurled 50 meters into the air. They spin wildly until they're dumped just as suddenly. One pilot manages to land safely, but the other injures his leg. No thermal is this powerful, so what on earth has just happened? If you look closely, you can see a swirling column of dust as the paraglider is whipped into the air. It's called a dust devil. Dust devils form during extreme heat conditions as hot air rises from the surface. The sudden uprush draws cooler air horizontally inward. These 2 currents combine to make a self-sustaining spiraling vortex. It owes its devilish name to the clouds of dust and debris normally caught up in it.
Well, you don't see this every day. He's driving right through it!
It's coming this way.
The power can be ferocious, as proved by our paraglider pilots. But just because you can't see any dust, it doesn't mean the devil isn't coming for you. Paraglider pilot Dan DiCarlo is coming into land.
Wow!
The question is, can he land safely? The turbulence from the dust devil collapses Dan's wing mid-air. He deploys his safety parachute. But he's too close to the ground. He hurtles into land, amazingly without injury. Kruger National Park, South Africa. A group of tourists is on a game drive with a professional guide.
Come on, move!
When a herd of elephants start to charge.
Easy, easy.
The elephants come to within 10 meters before stopping. The tourists have just witnessed a mock charge. The threatened elephants make themselves look as big and threatening as possible by extending the ears and making as much noise as they can.
Move!
Another encounter. The elephant has charged much closer, with ears flapping. It's a classic safari standoff. So what happens next? Does the elephant retreat? Does the vehicle retreat? Or does the elephant charge? The elephant charges, but as it does so, the ears come back flat against the side of the head. A mock charge has turned into the real thing. Ears flat or ear flap. With wild animals, nothing is certain. A tour group is photographing a small herd in Zimbabwe when a young elephant decides he's had enough of the paparazzi.
Oh God, what's that?
Look at his ears. So what happens next? Is this a classic mock charge or a real charge? It's a mock charge, but while their eyes are on the youngster, the tourists don't notice its angry mother charging from the side. Luckily, no one is injured, but her ears are flapping wildly as she pierces the side of the truck and flips it over with her tusks. So if you find yourself in an encounter with wild animals, play safe and don't invade their space. Or you'll find them invading yours. The Canberra Marathon 2009. This tired runner is just 10 metres from the finish when he appears to lose control of his legs. So what happens next? Does he fail to make it to the finish, crawl over the line, or is he carried over? He collapses and barely manages to crawl over the finish line. So what's going on? The body's primary fuel source is glycogen. Reserves are stored in our muscles and liver, but we can only store around 2,000 calories of glycogen. When it's gone, it's gone. Like a car, when we run out of fuel, we stop. Athletes call it hitting the wall. And not even elite athletes are immune to it. Hawaii, the 1997 Ironman race. Sian Welsh and Wendy Ingram have just swum nearly 4 kilometres, biked more than 175 kilometres, and are right at the end of a 42-kilometre marathon. They've also just hit the wall. So who crosses the line first? Sian on the left, Wendy on the right, or neither of them? Wendy crosses first, closely followed by Sian. Two highly trained athletes have been reduced to crawling through glycogen depletion. Drained energy reserves don't just affect the legs. This runner is in the last kilometre of the Athens Marathon, and he's becoming confused, a symptom of low blood sugar levels. He misses a key turning, runs past the marshals, and collides with a tram. He's injured in the collision, but suffers no lasting effects. This is something nobody would ever want to run into. Worldwide, landslides are responsible for around 9,000 deaths every year. They can happen without warning. And once started, there's no way of stopping one. This landslide is dragging a whole section of road and forest down the mountainside at around 20 kilometers an hour. So what are the chances of dodging one? August 2013. A landslide has just launched itself at this rainy road in Taiwan. As the white car is pelted by debris, a 100-ton rock is rolling straight for it. So what happens next? Does he drive on to safety? Does he get swept off the road? Or is his car crushed? It's definitely his lucky day. Rather like a dice coming to rest, the boulder is roughly shaped and its momentum isn't sufficient to roll it any further. The main components required to trigger a landslide are gravity and excess water. Heavy rains saturate the rock on a slope to a point where it's no longer able to resist the pull of gravity. In Portland, Oregon, another landslide is on the rampage. Catching up with father and son Robert and Starson Holman fleeing in their car. The flow of debris is destroying everything in its path. So what happens next? Are they able to outrun the landslide? Luckily, it runs its course and comes to a standstill. Not all landslides are rocky, as these drivers discover in Colorado after getting caught in a mudslide.
Oh my God.
And there's no doubt who's in the driving seat.
I can't believe this.
So how can you spot a landslide? Here are some clues. Look out for trees bending over. Cracks in the mountainside and strange bulges. Take this cliff face. Part of it is about to give way. But is it the left, the center, or the right? The center succumbed to the pull of gravity, and the only sign was a few loose rocks that preceded the landslide. Coming up, terror on the 12th floor.
I'm sorry.
Ramping up the speed and spiraling into danger. Skyscrapers, changing the face of the planet. Stunning to look at, but a nightmare for the people who have to clean the windows. Denver, Colorado. This impressive skyline is about to become hell for two window cleaners. It's 2005. And 46 meters above the crowded city streets, on the Plaza Tower, things are going badly wrong. A boom supporting the duo's cleaning platform has collapsed. So what happens next? Does the 2-ton, 10-meter platform fall to the ground or smash into the building? The platform is hanging by a thread, but it doesn't fall. Instead, it swings violently, smashing into the building, showering glass and debris on the ground below. So why does the platform perform this nightmarish dance? The answer lies in localized atmospheric conditions. Skyscrapers form a massive windbreak. Currents rushing over the top draw air up on the sheltered side. The result? Swirling vortices that cause havoc with anything they hit. The platform containing the two terrified window cleaners continues to smash into the building for a further 5 petrifying minutes. It's stuck at the 12th story, but fire crews' ladders only reach to the 10th, so they have to rescue them from inside the building. Working through one of the windows, rescuers are able to attach a hook to the platform and secure it. Amazingly, the two men are able to climb to safety. St. Moritz, Switzerland.
Let's go.
Snowboarder Jamie Barrow is setting an unofficial world speed record for being towed by a vehicle. He's travelling at 111 kilometers an hour. The same speed as the car. But is it possible to go faster than the vehicle that's pulling you? Water skiers can, thanks to some neat physics. When they change direction relative to the boat that's towing them, they end up travelling further than the boat in the same amount of time, meaning they go faster. Scientists call this rotational acceleration, or the slingshot effect. And water skiers can use it to pull off spectacular stunts. At Rollins College in Florida, Drew Phillips is practicing his jumping skills ahead of the Collegiate All-Stars Championships. He needs to get his slingshot perfect to hit the ramp with enough speed for his target, a 55-meter-long jump. So what happens next? Does he reach his 55-meter goal? It's a perfect jump. Drew accelerates so much before his approach that he takes off at around 100 kilometers an hour. Almost twice the speed of the boat. Once you know the slingshot theory, there's no end of applications. But remember, the faster you go, the harder you fall. To add a bit of fun to his jump, this veteran skydiver has decided to ride an inflatable toy turtle. So what could possibly go wrong? Does the inflatable get caught in his chute, explode and knock him unconscious, or cause him to go into a spin? The inflatable gets caught around his leg and causes him to go into a terrifying flat spin. It gets faster and faster, peaking at around 6 revolutions per second. So what's going on? The spin results when the skydiver's freefall position is not properly streamlined, creating more drag on one side of his body than on the other. That imbalance causes his body to start spinning uncontrollably. As well as preventing you from opening your chute, a spin like this can cause headaches, burst eye capillaries, and even blackouts. In this case, it's the inflatable toy sticking out that causes the loss of streamlining. He eventually lands safely, but having suffered those burst capillaries, he truly was a sight for sore eyes. But if you know what you're doing, mix skydiving with a touch of spin, and you'll be master of the skies.
It's like the Blob.
Danger thin ice. We've all heard it. But not everybody seems to heed it. So falling in is easy, but now, surrounded by weak ice, getting out is hard. Thankfully, these guys made it to safety. Christmas Day, 2012. In Wrightwood, California, locals are celebrating on Lake Jackson. But the festive fun is about to take a chilling turn. This reveller has become a victim of the ice and is struggling to find a way out.
Somebody get a branch.
He's only got minutes before the cold leaves him unable to keep himself afloat. So what happens next? As onlookers race across the ice to help, one by one the rescuers succumb to the icy water. The victim count escalates. At one stage, nearly a dozen people are in the lake. Many forget the golden rule, which is basic physics. If you're standing upright, all the weight is going through your feet, concentrating the weight in a small area. But if you lie down, the same weight is spread over a much larger area, and the ice is less likely to break. Well-meaning though they were, this is an ice rescue that has gone catastrophically wrong. It's a rope thrown in from this near bank that provides the solution. Fortunately, everybody makes it out okay. But far too often, the people who fall through the ice are actually would-be rescuers, who get into trouble themselves. The professionals know that, which is why this Coast Guard is staying low and using a rope so he can stay away from the thin and fractured ice at the edge. This guy's practicing spreading his weight with the help of swimming floats strapped to his feet. So is he able to make it back to shore without getting wet? Almost, but not quite. As he falls forward, his weight is now concentrated on his hands and the edges of his floats. And the ice breaks. So just remember, ice can be fun, but it can also deliver some very nasty surprises. In China, CCTV footage shows one sweep an almost one-ton shed 10 meters off the ground with very little warning. And the phenomenon is not confined to Earth. Mars 2012. These pictures are taken by NASA's Spirit rover. As it's filming, a swirling column of Martian dust travels by at a stately 17 kilometers an hour. Luckily, it misses the camera. But just because you can't see any dust, it doesn't mean the devil isn't coming for you. Paraglider pilot Dan DiCarlo is coming into land.
Wow! Holy shit!
The question is, can he land safely? The turbulence from the dust devil collapses Dan's wing mid-air. He deploys his safety parachute, but he's too close to the ground. He hurtles into land, amazingly without injury. And it happens more often than you might think. This pilot seems to be making a perfect approach. But in the final few meters, despite the desert surroundings, there's no debris to warn him of the danger. Luckily, the pilot is skillful enough to avoid injury, but he won't forget his dance with the devil. Kruger National Park, South Africa. Sometimes it's just one animal. Sometimes it's a whole herd. Here in Sri Lanka, Mum's decided the truck has come too close, and the whole family pitches in behind her. He collapses and barely manages to crawl over the finish line. So what's going on? The body's primary fuel source is glycogen. Reserves are stored in our muscles and liver, but we can only store around 2,000 calories of glycogen. When it's gone, it's gone. Like a car, when we run out of fuel, we stop. Athletes call it hitting the wall. One way to try and dodge the wall is by carb loading. Eating carbohydrate-laden meals in the run-up to the race to fill the muscles with glycogen. But it's not always successful, as even elite athletes have found. Take this cliff face. Part of it is about to give way. But is it the left, the centre, or the right? The centre succumbed to the pull of gravity, and the only sign was a few loose rocks that preceded the landslide. Best advice of all, keep well clear. Landslides typically travel between 15 and 55 kilometers an hour. And they can really pack a punch, giving a whole new meaning to the words rolling stock. Coming up, terror on the 12th floor. Ramping up the speed and spiraling into danger.